We live in a time where the flow of information is constant, with competing voices in crowded spaces, where old school thoughts meet new school ideas.
We are constantly having to recreate ourselves. To understand these identities, we need to decipher the culture. This is unconventional. This is Lounge Academics.
Alex, how you doing, sir?
Yes, I'm doing good. How are you? How
I'm
are
well.
you?
I'm loving that beard, man. It's got more gloss than mine, man. I'm trying to be like you. I'm trying to be like you, bro.
Oh,
It's great to see you, sir.
thank you, thank you.
Great to see you. Great to
Yeah,
see
good
you.
to see you as well, man.
Yeah, it's been long overdue. I know. I know. We've been needing to do this since like before COVID, mate. You know, we've been waiting a long
Yeah,
time to do
yeah.
this.
But it's happening now. It's happening
That's right.
now.
It's happening now. Brilliant. So, I've just been warming people up, just letting them know, obviously, about
Mm.
the podcast and letting them know a bit about yourself. I don't want to take too much away from your thunder, from your mystery. I want you to kind of add to that in a few minutes. But
Okay.
yeah, this is Alex Pemberton, everyone. As I said before a few minutes ago, we're going to be talking about, startups, right? Starting up a business, how to start your business, particularly around the realm of tech and looking how to scale up and grow, right? That's going to be part of the focus. But as you know, we're not limited to that. We may flow between different themes, but ultimately, 5 minutes to disrupt is an opportunity to shine a spotlight on some of our excellent members of our community. And Alex is of no exception. He's brilliant, right? So, without further ado, I'm
Wow.
going to hand over to you, Alex. How do you follow that? Yeah?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
No pressure. No
Yeah.
pressure.
No, no pressure, man. Hashtag no pressure. So yes, we'll hand over to you, sir, to let people know a little bit more about Launch 7, TechRick, and all the other great stuff that you're doing. Okay, so over to you, Alex.
Okay. Over to me. Wow. Does that mean I'm taking over? This is my show now.
Yeah, well, partly for 5 minutes, yeah. Yeah.
Firstly, I'm so grateful and honored to be sharing this live with you, man.
Oh, thank you, man.
I think when I met you first, I was like, there's something about this guy. I think I need to work with him, and I don't know what we're gonna work on. But maybe this is part two because we had a conversation already. So it's great to be a part of it.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. So my name, Alexander, actually means helper of men or defender of men, depending on who you ask. It's an old Greek name, so I do defend and help women as well. So that name, my dad gave me that name. I don't think he knew what he was doing when he gave me that name, or maybe they did. Maybe my parents did know what they were doing. But so I've actually made it my mission to help people in different ways. And so my most recent way is actually by helping people to start businesses. And how did that come about? So that came about a few years ago. I was making websites, making lots of websites, and I was working with a lot of different types of people, but mostly people who wanted to start a business. And the first thing they would think about is actually getting a website or getting a logo done. And I would ask them questions like, tell me about your target audiences, how you're going to make money, what are your services, and all that kind of stuff. And I found out that quite often a lot of people hadn't really thought about the business side. These really important questions they hadn't thought about. It's just like it's a great idea and I'm going to do it. I'm going to see what happens. And actually, that's a really natural way of actually starting a business. There's nothing wrong with it, but a little bit of guidance or a lot of guidance can help us to reduce the risk of failure or the size of how thinking I'm doing a great job, and I'll do half a website. And the reason I do half a website was because they hadn't thought about all the questions that need to go on the website. So I'll say, send me some text about you, tell me some more information about your company and the services that you offer, and they will take a long time. So I had a catalog, I had a portfolio of holding pages. Like that's not a good look for a web designer,
Wow.
you know? So a holding page is like one page is like coming soon. That's not a good look
No.
at all. I did have some actual portfolio stuff as well, but a lot of them, there was too many. There was too many holding pages. So, if someone asked me for my portfolio, I would be like, yeah, I'm working on this and I'm working on that. This one is finished. Maybe it's a year old or 6 months old. Maybe the client had come and they had changed some stuff, so it didn't look like it did when I finished it. And that was a little bit frustrating. So I thought to myself, how can I help these people help me look better? So I thought, you know what? I'm gonna make I'm gonna make it compulsory to actually do a consultation with me before we get started. And what did that consultation look like? It was very basic at the time. I did some research around the difference between a sole trader and a limited company, and started really looking at how to start a business, how other people had started business as well, and given that advice to my to-be or would-be customers. So that went okay. I got myself a mentor. Very, very important. Get yourself a mentor if you're starting business. Side note, and KJ, you're probably going to ask me about this later, but I don't believe that in 2020 any business should fail. I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to continue.
Woo!
Right.
Okay. Mic drop moment. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I got myself a mentor, and he gave me lots of advice. But one thing that really propelled me down the consultation route was that he was a consultant himself. He's making lots of money as a consultant. He's had businesses, and he was like, Alex, you're really good at this. Like, I like to talk. Like, I can talk all day long. I can have conversations all day long.
Yeah.
You know that. You know that
course,
already. But yeah, and some of the people that know me in here, they know that already as well. But I was just like, okay, if my mentor says I'm good at this thing, I should probably give it a go. So I started creating a little bit of a program. So the idea was already in the works, how to help people start businesses efficiently, fast, and all that kind of stuff. And actually, I realized that the amount of time that I spent on a website might have been maybe 2 days, right? So 2 days being like 10-hour days, maybe 20 hours. And I realized actually that if I sat down with someone in 1 day or 2 days, website would be done. They wouldn't be like, I'll go and work on it, then they'll come back, and then there'll be this back and forth for like 2 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever. I thought if I sit down with them, then we can go through the consultation and we can just get going. And I thought, actually, seeing that it's natural for you to want to have your business visually ready, as in having a brand and having a website, let me create something around this. So we've come up with this concept called Visually Ready.
Okay.
And Visually Ready is just all about your visuals being ready. People can see that you're ready for business, and you can say, hey, I'm over here, I've got this service, you've got this problem, and I can help solve your problem with my solution. Here's the result that you're going to get from it. And it's taken some traction, which is really, really cool. I've done some work. I've done where have I been? What's my claim to fame for startup stuff? We've done some events with Halifax, Halifax Bank in Tottenham Court Road, which is a big deal. I quite often work with an amazing organization called Generation Success. They help young people to find jobs and get mentors and all that kind of stuff. And there's some other people as well that I've worked with, which has been absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, so I've actually realized that the system that we've created is working, which is really good. And of course, one of my favorite clients, if any of my other clients are there listening, no offense, please don't take any offense. One of my favorite clients.
Choose your words carefully and wisely, sir. Yeah.
Is a company. One of my favorites is a company called Box Tropic.
Okay.
And literally, I had a conversation with one of the sisters in February. They called me up at the beginning of March, somewhere around when lockdown started, and they said, we want to start a business. Can you help? I was like, absolutely. When do you want to start? They said, now. I got excited. I said, let's start on Monday. They started on Monday. 6 weeks later, they had launched a business online, and they had 15 customers on their launch day, their launch week.
Okay.
And I was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had helped people in different ways. I helped them with logos, website, a bit of consultation, but literally Box Tropics was from the beginning of like just an idea and actually launching and having customers and making money as well. And they're doing really, really, and I'm super proud of them. So they're like my babies.
Your success story, like from that kind of inception to kind of developing and getting out there to full launch. Yeah. And actually trading.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And the thing is, if it wasn't for lockdown, I think we probably would have launched a little bit faster, because we could have done that work over 2 to 3 days, maybe 4 or 5 days.
Okay.
But lockdown, digitally, evenings after work and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's Launch 7 in a nutshell, getting people to start really, really quickly. And you mentioned that I'm going to be talking about tech as well. So I've got another business called TechRick, and that was a spin-off from the web design stuff. There was 2 things there. One is that I was like, how can I make more money? As you should do in business.
Yeah.
How can I make more money?
More income
and
streams.
The second thing was actually I'm building websites, and I'm building on other platforms. I'm not going to say their name because they're the competition in it, but I was selling on other companies. I was saying, go to this company, it's great. I was like, actually, they're not giving me anything to recommend people. And then I realized actually they were charging like a lot of money, and for the extras that they were
Yeah.
charging, it wasn't necessarily the case that you should charge that much. They're a business, they're trying to make
Yeah,
money.
of
I do
course.
understand that. Yeah. But then a buddy of mine, we went to uni together, Marlon, his name is, he worked at another company. And I was like, hey, how easy is it for us to like host stuff? And he's like, oh, it's super easy. We just need to spend some time setting stuff up, blah, blah, blah. And we got into a partnership. Um, and he was doing the tech stuff and I was doing the customers. So the brand was literally like an in-house brand only for for my web design customers. Fast forward a few years, he got a really good job. He's really, really good at what he does.
Yeah.
So automatically he got really busy. His job got so much more demanding as a director of IT or something. And he resigned from the company. He resigned from the company just because he wasn't able to put the time in. And so now I thought, actually, let's see what else I can do with it. And then since then we've actually I've got a marketing person and another tech person, and we're working on some stuff, and we're able to offer some sweet deals to both our customers and people who actually don't know me and haven't used my services as
Okay.
well.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
So that's really, I guess they both really dovetail really well, I guess, as well. So from the hosting side, that naturally would complement any consultative stuff, any help with branding, any help with logo design,
Hmm.
design templates of obviously your websites and putting that forward. So it works very nice hand in hand with each other. I see that's nice little referral
Yeah.
points there. So tell me something, Alex, like obviously it seems to me, I know initially you're a very talkative person. I guess that comes part and parcel with the consultative stuff. You need to be able to understand people's needs, be able to talk to them, understand their needs, and kind of provide suitable solutions, right, to the problems that they may have in helping them. So I get that connection. How, for you, did you, starting with Launch 7, you mentioned earlier that you noticed that there were a number of sites where, people kind of had started and then they'd stopped, where, half websites being done, which wasn't a good look for yourself or for your clients, like you said. What is that
Hmm.
about? Why are we finding that what is that about that people are launching into doing websites and stuff and then are having to stop halfway? What are some of the reasons for that?
I think it's a few things. So actually, when I was doing, I think it's a few things. But when I was doing websites first, I was doing them fairly cheaply, and I realized that there was a certain type of person that this would happen to, and um, and I'm not saying this is the case for everyone,
Okay.
but at the time for me, it was mainly people who wanted to start businesses, had full-time jobs, so they weren't fully committed to making their business a reality. So there's
Okay.
other stuff going on, distraction, not being able to actually put in the time to do the right research. That's one thing. Another thing is not having guidance.
Okay.
Like a lot of us start and we don't know what we're doing. And yes, there are books out there, and yes, there's YouTube videos, and there's blogs and all that kind of stuff. But not having specific guidance to you, or someone showing you how to avoid or get over an obstacle, can be like a huge barrier for the successful launch of your business.
Okay. Okay.
There,
Yeah.
there are other things as well.
Yeah.
I think not fully understanding the problem that you're solving and who you're solving it to is a massive thing. And I think people procrastinate, people hesitate when they're uncertain, when there's lack of clarity. When you don't know what to do, you sort of,
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, yeah, you can hear you
yeah,
anticipate me coming. Yeah, because I think hearing
yeah,
you talk and stuff, because you're talking about the problem that they're wanting to solve. Is this more of kind of like a general business kind of issue, i.e., because I know definitely there's a lot of people out here that want to change the world. They want to save the world, they want to do different things, which I find in my walk has been mainly around the arena of kind of charitable, social causes, the social enterprise kind of route. However, they haven't thought through the business mechanism or the business model in which to achieve that. Does some of this resonate with what your experience has been in terms of, or is it something more particular to like a website kind of solution when you're talking about solutions? What are you referring to there? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly what you said.
Okay.
Like if you're starting a business, your business needs to make money. If you're starting a charity or you're doing some sort of, you're going to need money to keep it afloat. You're going to need money to do stuff.
Yeah.
How you get that via funding, or if you're going to sell something to do this charitable or this
Yeah.
good deed, you're still going to need money, and you still need to think about actually what problem you're solving and who you're solving it for.
Yeah.
So if you start a charity and your charity is to help people who, I don't know any examples,
Yeah.
help people to do whatever, right? You're still going to need money because it's going to take up your time,
Yeah.
and you're going to need money. You're going to need to replace your salary if you're going to do it full time. So we're going to need money, but you're also going to need to think about who those people are and where are they,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
are you interacting with them? Do they know that you exist?
Yeah. So what I'm getting from you, definitely, there's something around having an effective business plan, or at least having a plan, yeah, as to how you're going to stay afloat, looking at kind of your startup capital, what you might need, money, etc. But also what I'm hearing from you is having good mentors or people around you to help with the guidance of that process as well, to help guide you, steer you, support you as part of that journey as you kind of develop
Hmm.
your business from your startup. So how do you move from when someone is starting up their business, right? And assuming that they've got their business plan, assuming that they've kind of thought through this process, what for
Mm.
you, what is the common kind of barrier or challenge? Because I know you mentioned also there was another group which you referred to, which was the full-timers, people that are in full-time work. You noticed there was a slight correlation between those that couldn't fully commit. So if there's somebody tuning in now, if there's people listening through on the podcast and tuning in, what would be for the person who's in their full-time job, 9 to 5, right, 10 to 6, whatever, and they're really wanting to solve this problem or start up a business, at which point would you kind of advise, what stages would you suggest or recommend that they kind of execute their plan, and what would be the stages of that plan, if that makes sense? So you can avoid those issues of, kind of the half hosted website and you then have to abandon the project halfway through or whatever. How can we mitigate and avoid that?
Oh man, do you know the things with starting businesses? It's really about the entrepreneur and the mindset, isn't it?
Mm,
It's about
totally.
it's about your mindset and being resourceful. So one of the first things I say to my clients, even if they're not my clients, if I'm speaking somewhere, I say this all the time, is get to know yourself,
Yeah, yeah,
right? And there's loads of tools. You can do personality tests and all that kind of stuff. There's a really simple one called a SWOT analysis. And if
oh yeah,
anyone's listening, I would recommend doing it right now. But do a SWOT analysis on yourself. What are your strengths? What are you good at? What's your weaknesses? What are you not so good at? Look at the opportunities that you might have. Because actually, having a 9 to 5 at the moment is a fantastic opportunity. It means you've got a regular income and you can save so that when it comes to the time for you to leave your job, you've got enough to sustain you for 3 months, 6 months, 1 month, whatever, the year, whatever it is. Right. So you look at the opportunity, you look at the opportunities of who's around you. Maybe you've just joined a new Facebook group or WhatsApp group or something. And then you look at the threats. What are the things that can threaten you as a person? What can threaten your life? What can threaten the success of who you are? That could be just where you live, if you live in a dangerous area, if you live at somewhere where there's lots of earthquakes, but just consider it, just considering
wow,
all of these things that, and it's honestly, it's so powerful. It's really, really powerful. But on the strengths part, quite often, like I'm not good at the finances stuff, right? And I'm not good at accounting. So the
I hear
natural thing
that.
for me to do
Yeah,
is to find someone who's good at it.
yeah,
So why would I go and get a degree in accounting, right? Or do a course when there's someone who's actually good at it, gets it, and enjoys
yeah,
it, who can actually help me. And
yeah,
that's why there are accountants and HR people and marketing people and all that kind of stuff. So on the strengths, play on your strength,
yeah,
on the weaknesses. And also I would say ask people, ask your ask your partners, ask your friends, and some of your family members, like, what would you say are my strengths and what are some of my weaknesses?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
sometimes it might be a hard pill to swallow, but you should just swallow it because actually that's gonna make you the person that you need to be.
But
Knowing.
the interesting thing is though, and what I like, because normally when you look at SWOT analysis, yeah, and you know, not to patronize anyone, because there's some people that are most probably aware and cognizant of what all that is, but for those of you who are not aware of it, it's often a tool to look at usually the success of your project or your business. Normally, it's usually framed
Mhm.
around your actual business endeavor or project. I like the way you're talking about using this tool on you personally. At the end of the day, I guess what I'm picking up from you is you as the individual will be carrying your business. It's you that will have the drive. It's you who will be motivated. It's you that will have to wrestle with a lot of this initially. So I like that spin on that and putting it on you personally to look at, you know, what you have as your strengths, what your weaknesses are, what the opportunities are, and how this can maybe translate into, you know, the team that you need or the people that you need to be in your life to help you build this project that you're trying to get off the ground. And I take it, you know, as part of your consultancy, is that a key part then, as part of when you're working with your clients, is that something you take them through as a matter of course in your consultancy and support for them?
Yeah, it's something I tell them to do before we start working together. And if they
Wow.
haven't done it, I'll be cautious.
Wow.
Um, yeah, I'll be cautious. I'll say just do it first because it's a gift, you know.
Yeah.
And the other gift I give is something that my mentor taught me, and he's very experienced in business. He's had a few UK firsts.
Okay.
He was um, the first UK company to sell laptops or computers for under £300, and
Okay.
that was amazing. Like he got sales galore. Um, yeah, and so he said to me, work out your expenses. Look at your expenses. Look at your survival budget. You need to know what you're going to cost the company,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Look at what you're going to cost the company, because at the end of the day, the company needs to provide for you. That's its job. It's not to be fancy and say I've got a limited company or I've got this brand. The company needs to work for the entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So you need to know what your cost is. But in doing that, going through all of my expenses, I realized actually that I'm spending a lot of money on stuff that I shouldn't spend money on.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. If I'm trying to start a business that's going to get me the things that I want and create the lifestyle that I want, I can't be trying to spend money on stuff that's not necessary and it's just fulfilling a need right now.
Yeah.
And so your question to what you would say to a lot of people who are in full time, I just assess yourself.
Hmm.
You know, have the convert. This is gonna sound like you maybe don't have this conversation with yourself while you're walking down the street. You know, maybe make notes and think about it. But have the conversation with yourself. You know, who am I?
Yeah. Yeah.
What am I here to do? You know, what this whole this world,
Yeah.
what am I
Yeah.
going to leave behind? Like, these conversations are important conversations to have. And I think we need to actually know ourselves, because if we don't know ourselves and we're trying to lead a company and lead a team, we will have some issues and some problems.
I think, but I really like what you're saying about that because I say this to people all the time, right? I've always said, you know, like people get mad at me all the time because I'm always, and I'm aware also we've got some questions that I'm gonna tend to some cool questions actually that's being asked that I'm gonna come to in a minute. So just for those of you that are waiting patiently, or will come to this after I've kind of made this point. But what I've noticed, right, and people get mad with me when I say this, I say to people all the time, look, you got to know yourself in business. You got to, whatever you're taking on, you got to be realistic. Now, the desire to be an entrepreneur or to be a business owner may be great. It may look good. It may have this grandiose title that looks all glittery and glistening, and it sounds nice to say you're a CEO or an MD or an entrepreneur. I get these words are really buzzy, but you got to be realistic about what you can do. Not everybody, unfortunately, is an entrepreneur. Now, there may be an issue or something they may want to solve, but it may well be about being aligned with the right people to help execute that plan or that vision. But sometimes I see in my experience, there's often two kinds of people I'm very rarely find them with both kind of skill sets. You're either really creative, yeah, really super creative. So you have all these great ingenious ideas that are brilliant and just people just like in awe when they see you. Or you don't have that but yet you lack in the business sense. And what I mean by the business sense is you don't know where your money's coming from. You don't know how you're going to sustain yourself or deliver. You don't know about your projections of costs. You don't know what's happening, how you're going to do your profit margins and make your income. You don't really know. But yet, the business heads, which are really super on that, may lack that creativity, but they know how to scale up or to make money. So it's something I see all the time, and I think it's brilliant that you're emphasizing that really in terms of people getting to know themselves. So what I was going to say, Alex, actually, on that note, we had a question from Paper Pages Limited, yeah. Hey, Nye, good to see you. A question that was raised about what are the most common types of startups happening right now? Is there a common industry or problem that everyone is attempting to solve? So I don't know if there's something that if you want to speak to that or answer that at all. I know I've got some ideas, but I'll let you go ahead.
A bit of a pet peeve, actually. I'm tired of seeing hair care businesses and skincare businesses. Like, how many more do we need?
Hair care
That's
businesses
a
and
trend.
was it hair care business and skin?
And,
Wow, okay.
yeah,
Say a bit more.
maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but how many more do we
Some
need?
people are throwing their phones at the wall right now. Why do you say that? I mean, is that not a sign of a thriving business sector or industry? The fact that there's so many? I don't know. Well, I don't know.
Maybe. So okay, so I've got a friend who is well, I've got two friends
Yeah.
that have hair care brands, and they're doing really, really well.
Okay.
And they've specified on the type of curls the type of curls that they do. One's
Curls,
called
did you
Curly by
say?
Nature, and the
Oh,
other,
okay. Yeah.
yeah, they do with curly hair.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, so they've looked at well, I think they have. I hope I'm not giving out wrong information. But anyway, one's called Curly by Nature,
Yeah.
one's called Curly by Nature, and the other one's called Afrocentrics, and they're both doing really, really well. They're
Okay.
both skilled, and they know what they're talking about. But I keep hearing hair care brands that are popping up, and sometimes people are. It's the same thing with a lot of food shops, and I guess I'm speaking to a specific community right now, right?
Yeah.
And I'm seeing a lot of hair care and skincare and food brands in the Afro Caribbean community,
Okay.
right? And quite often you get this thing where actually I'm making my own lotion and I'm making my own hair stuff and it works for me. And I
Yeah.
think someone has said my hair looks nice, so I'm going to create this company or this brand without thinking actually that there are other brands out there that's already doing it, right? And don't get me wrong, if other brands are doing it, it could be a good sign that you can do something too. But they're just so many. They're just so many. And it's just like, let's have some original ideas. Let's look for problems, right? Some problems are already being solved and some are being solved really, really well.
So
And for me, it's just kind of like, yeah, go on.
no, no, no. Go on, go on. I'm gonna let you. Yeah, go ahead, go ahead. No, finish what you're saying. I'm gonna come in.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's just for me, sometimes the thing is, right, we see people making money or doing well, and we say that person's doing well at it. Let me give it a go as well, without actually saying, look at my strength. This is what I'm good at. This is what I know that I'm good at, and I can create a business based on what I'm good at. Do the research at that problem that needs to be solved. So you're pairing your strength with a problem that needs to be solved because you know you can solve it, and then you do that.
Okay, okay.
So if in the industry you're like, so these two companies, right? They solved the problem because most of the hair care stuff didn't suit curly hair, so they created a brand that looks
Sure,
after
sure.
curly hair.
So very
Problem
niche,
solved,
very
and just like
niche.
loads of
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, very niche area, very
right.
niche problem to solve. Yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But
So I
yeah,
think
go on.
yeah, I think trending wise, that's a trend within the community. I think it's something like skincare and maybe food is like an easy one.
Yeah.
Something that's popping up now since lockdown, a lot of it's the macrame or macrame. I don't know how you say it, but it's
Okay.
those rope things. Google it. It's
A rope.
people are
Okay.
they're making stuff from like little ropes, and people are making like they're not really chandeliers, but they're making They're making all sorts
Bro,
of
that's
stuff
a
from this
new
rope
one,
that they
boy.
knitted together. It's like knitting.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It's like knitting kind of thing, and you can hold your drapes and your curtains together, and you can do all sorts of stuff, all kind of stuff with it. I only heard about this week, so
Okay,
I'm
that's a
probably
new
not
one because I
explaining it
haven't
really
heard that
well.
one.
But
Okay,
it's called macrame or macrame.
okay.
So
Uh,
that's trending.
is this quite specific to like the African diaspora though? So is this quite, African heritage, people, melanated people, these types, the trending industries that you're noticing, are these mainly around our folk, or are these generally businesses that people that's booming across the board, that's trending in that regard, or is this a specific
So
niche?
macrame isn't. It's just. I think macrame is just something that a lot of people have been doing
Okay,
while they've
cool.
been at home,
Yeah.
looking for something to do, and now they realize that they can sell it.
And now they got time to do it. No, I hear you. I hear you. And
Yeah, yeah,
and the
yeah.
thing is, the reason why I'm asking is because what I've noticed in terms of trends to add to this as well, and to what Nye is saying from Paper Pages, is a trending thing, particularly around the Black Pound Day. I do feel, looking specifically at the African Caribbean community, right? An African community, I've seen this sudden wave for black economics and for the black pound. And I have to second some of the experiences that you've had, yeah, where you described everyone all of a sudden is just rushing out and creating businesses just for the sake of creating businesses because we want this black
Mm.
pound and we want to spend money within the community. And I do have questions around, some of these ideas that people have, the sustainability. In my opinion, a lot of them are more charitable. They're more kind of voluntary based enterprises and more things to give back, which is fine. I haven't got an issue with that. But then I guess set up as a charity or set up as a voluntary organization, and people get very upset when they feel that people are not spending in the community as well. I've seen that a lot where people are getting mad, and it's like, you're going to the mainstream, you're going to our white counterparts to spend money there when you should be spending on us, and then people are getting upset because people are asking them to give them a discount or to give them a deal, and then people get mad and like, I don't want to work with my people, and you hear all of this stuff starting to come out. So it's quite interesting that you say that, but that's something I've noticed around the Black Pound Day, particularly in my experience from what I've observed. But I think trending stuff at the moment that I think seems to be doing really well is kind of general kind of startups. So startups around kind of what's the services called? Kind of like micro management of like resources and stuff. So for example, if you need marketing expertise or stuff, someone to manage or maintain your social media stuff, I found those startups, online startups, are doing really well. And I'm saying this generally speaking as a trending thing across industry where what's booming at the moment is, there are people out there that are willing to manage multiple social media platforms or sites for people, and they're doing quite well. And these are scaling pretty quickly because they're great, because they're low costs, because you're not having to travel anywhere or whatever. So that's something I've really observed that's doing really well at the moment, in terms of startups and businesses as well. And just to add to that, I've noticed people also are getting into the online course space. So really taking the knowledge that they have and developing that into online course content. And I think I've noticed that more since the COVID lockdown. So for example, if you are a photographer by trade, you know, you do photography, you do that, people are now putting a hand to actually, let me design a photography online course. For people
Mm.
that may want to start up and go into photography or whatever, giving tips and stuff like that. So that's something that I've noticed
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
coaching and
Yeah.
consulting as a part of that. So education is huge,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. Education is huge. So Google just the other day, they said they'll accept people as part of their one of their employees, as part of their staff, part of their team, if they do a $300 course or something, as opposed to a university degree.
Yeah, yeah, it's bit, yeah, yeah. Oh, don't get me started there,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, yeah, can't, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So education, and especially education now, where I can spend £300 and listen to an expert,
yeah,
sit down with someone who's done it before. They'll tell me what to do, and I can go off and use my skills and my experience as well to do really, really well.
yeah,
So But there's a guy though from South Africa. His name is Vusi Timbakweyu,
Hmm.
and he's really profound, really smart guy. He's my mentor, and
Oh, brilliant. Yeah.
if lockdown didn't happen, I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago, I would have had the opportunity to meet him.
Okay.
And the person who was going to introduce us, he said to me, "What would you ask Vusi if you met him?" And I was like, "I don't know, man. I think I'll just hug him because like the gems that he's giving me are just amazing."
Yeah.
And the guy looked at me like, "What?" And I was like, "Sorry, not sorry." But I I think one thing that he said that stood out to me a lot, and I had to assess myself on this, is a lot of people say they're starting businesses, but they're still one man bands and
Yeah.
they're still sole traders
Yeah.
and they're still solopreneurs. And if you're running a business and you have a business, you actually need to look at it as you're going to grow, you're going to employ people, you're going to have people on your team, and at some point you can walk away and that business can still function.
Yeah. So scale, it's got to have the ability to scale up and to scale and grow. So, I mean, that's a good point. That's moving us on to another part of this conversation. How do we move? So we're talking about startups. You're moving from the startups phase now. How do you know when a project is scalable or has the opportunity or potential to scale to the point that you can be employing extra people or you can start to step away? When is a project scalable?
That's a good question. I think there might be a few indications, and you can probably look at it if you're doing like a tech business, you're doing an online
Yeah.
business. Um, is it needed? Is the problem that you're solving, does it need to be solved internationally, nationally,
Yeah.
around the world? Right, that's one indication. But if you've already started, your customers actually will tell you what to do. And you need to keep the customers at the focal point of every decision
Yeah.
you make in business, because you're doing it for your customers. If you don't have customers, you're not making any money. So definitely your customers will tell you, get feedback. They'll tell you what to do, especially in the early. In the first month, you need to get as much feedback as possible. They will tell you what to do. They would say, when I started consulting, I was like, yeah, sit down with me. I've got the answers. Yeah, we'll look at your business model. We'll figure that out. We'll find out who your target audiences are. We'll look at your problems that you're solving. We'll look at how much money you need to spend or what you're going to spend the money on, how much you can make and all this kind of stuff and all the dreaming stuff. Go off and do it by yourself. And every time, customer intimacy,
Yeah.
yes, that's my big brother.
Oh, big
Every
up, big
time,
bro. Yeah.
every time, every time I did one of these consultations, someone would say, "What happened after?" They would ask a question, "What happens after this consultation is ended?" And I would be like, "Yeah, after it's ended, you go off and do your stuff. We'll have a follow up in a month or so to see how you're getting on."
Yeah.
That's not what they wanted.
Yeah.
What they were asking me is, "Are you going to help me, and are you gonna guide me through this process of starting a business?" So I had to adjust. And then in actual fact, I used to work between 10 and 4, right?
Yeah.
This is like last year, 2 years ago. I used to work between 10 and 4 as a creative. I worked between 10 and 4. But the people who wanted to start business, the people who I can help, they were busy at 10 and 4 at their job.
Yeah.
So I had to adjust to when I'm going to speak and reach these people. So I had to work in the evening. So, but my
Yeah.
customers were telling me that they need me to actually help them through this process. But if I'm sort of thinking, oh, do you know what? I want to charge this much and I want to do this and I don't want to work in that way, I wouldn't know. Furthermore, um, with with lockdown, especially the realization that so many people have had, if you have face-to-face talking business, you're face-to-face consultant or whatever, is actually you you have to look at what your capacity is. So what's your capacity to deliver? Are you, for me, putting myself on the table here,
Yeah.
am I able to do more than 10 consultations in a week?
Yeah.
And if there's a demand for it, if there is a demand for me to do more than 10, that's more than 10 customers, and I can't meet it, that's an indication that there's a great chance of growth. And then you can start looking at,
Yeah.
well, who else is having this problem?
Yeah.
And where else are they having the problem?
But what I'm definitely hearing from you though is it comes back to that bare nuggets and the foundation once again of, as they say, a business is a solution to a well-defined problem. You know, if you know what the problem is that you're solving, and therefore you have the solution to address that issue, there you have it. And if you can prove there's a great demand for it, or even if there isn't, if you've got a niche area that you know there's a specific focus, or there's a specific type of group of people or individuals that are affected by this problem or issue, and you can solve that problem, then there you have it, you know. And like you said, and I guess if there's a demand for it, then that's going to justify the means to kind of scale up in terms of your infrastructure, your staffing, etc., and looking at that. Okay, brilliant. So if someone was to come and they're like, yo, I need Alex, I need help. I need to start this up, right? I've got a business idea. I want to get this off the ground. You know, launch 7. What can they expect? What can they expect from yourself coming along to access your service? What would be the preliminary kind of steps?
Yeah, so there are a few steps, right? And we let people know what these steps are. And firstly, when you're starting a business, most people are in the pre-startup phase. And a lot of people get stuck in the pre-startup phase. What's the pre-startup phase?
Yeah.
The pre-startup phase is when you just have the idea. Then you start Googling, or you're doing some research. Who else has this problem? Who is there anyone else who's doing it? You're looking at your potential competitors, and you're starting to think about what you can offer. Right, in the pre-startup stage, what you're doing actually is actually quite natural as well, and it's great. And it's actually the foundation of business and marketing, and it's really, really simple. It's who, what, where, and why. Yeah, who are you providing a service for? Who is it for? What is it? Why? Where can they get it?
Yeah.
Really, really simple. So that's the pre-startup phase. And then there's the startup phase. You're looking at actually starting and hopefully getting some customers, getting some feedback, putting processes in place, right? So that when you grow and you want to scale, if you have 10 customers at the moment and you do a little bit of marketing and you get 1,000, how do you deal with that? Is there a process in place that you can actually manage those 1,000 people?
Yeah.
And if there isn't, you need to think about, what do I do if I get 100 or 1,000?
Yeah.
And then once you've gone through that sort of growth phase, you're looking at really having systems in place. Successful businesses have systems, right? You have systems and processes in place. Once you've got that in place, then you're looking at scaling.
Yeah.
And scaling is actually digital marketing, and being online is great for scaling. It's great for getting exposure and awareness as well, but it's fantastic for scaling. And this is where you can reach like a whole lot of people with some simple steps. But what we do specifically is we look at, in the startup phase, what we look at is who your customers are. I think I mentioned it earlier, who your customers are, who you are as well, who your customers are, who you are, what are you offering, how do you offer it to them, what do you do? We look at the service and the product you're providing, what's the cost for it, what you're going to make money from, and what you're going to spend money on as well. And then part 2 of that, once you figure that out, we do branding as well. We look at your brand messaging. How do you talk to your customers when they come across you? What do they think?
What are they thinking?
When they see your logo, when they see your brand. And branding isn't just a logo. It isn't just, your font and your colors. It's actually the embodiment, the personality of the company.
Yeah.
When I see you and you talk to me, are you bubbly? Are you creative? Are you agony on? Are you miserable? What kind of person?
What's
what
the
kind
experience?
Of person is the brand?
Yeah.
And once you've done that, we move on to actually doing marketing. So we do some digital marketing. It's not always digital marketing, but we often incorporate that into the startup strategy. So the startup strategy would be something like, you just need to get 2 or 3 customers. Like, get 2 or 3 as soon as possible, get feedback from them, ask them how it's going, they'll tell you what to do, and then that feedback, you put that back into your marketing material.
So a form of market research, and get,
but you're doing market research, you're doing research with your customers.
Exactly.
They're literally telling you how to speak to your other customers. They're literally telling you what to do for your next customers. So when you meet these customers and you're saying stuff, the customers get it straight away. Do you know those a great example of that? You know those adverts on TV, like late night TV, where it's like, do you have headaches? Do you have an earache? Do you have a tummy ache? Do you have a rash on your hand? If you do, you need Infocol. Do you know what I mean? And you're thinking, actually, I do need Infocol because I've got all those things.
Totally. And that's what it's about. and the feedback's very important. I guess
Yeah. So then,
what I was going to ask you actually was given because something I've noticed as well on the same theme. So I get, it's a very comprehensive service that you're providing in terms of the expectation. So if people come on, I get the process that you would take them through, from inception right through to launch and trading and stuff. I wondered something I've witnessed and kind of recognized of late as well is I've noticed that there are a number of businesses that have been responding to political cultural shifts, yeah, in the wider
Mhm.
landscape in the world. So a key big thing like that currently, COVID, yeah, the pandemic, the issue and the murder of George Floyd and some of these big issues, there's been a huge wave of kind of businesses, mobilizations of different projects and stuff that's happened right now. I just wondered, in your opinion, being someone who supports people in startups and tech, what's your views about particularly around this issue around George Floyd and the Black Lives Matters movement and the need to talk about race and institutional racism and challenging social injustice and all of that? How is this a phase that we're in, or is this something that seems like we can possibly change as a result of business? Because there's a lot of focus on racial inequality at the moment, but I wanted to know what your opinion was about that in terms of business.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a theme around that, and that's really about empowerment and economical empowerment, which is really important.
Hmm.
But outside of business, I think that, and I know that how we treat ourselves, right, is a direct reflection of how we allow others to treat us.
Wow.
So so I like, honestly, we got to learn to. So I can't talk about this without addressing the trauma that has been experienced by a lot of
Of
Africans
course.
internationally around the
Yeah,
world,
yeah,
African Caribbean, African American, African
yeah.
South American, whatever, right? Um, and I think that trauma has to be addressed. People talk about reparations and all that kind of stuff,
Hmm.
but you need to actually repair yourself and be intentional about how you repair yourself and how you repair your community as well, right? I think George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and
Yeah,
all the others as
yeah,
well that have that stuff. It's been going on for a
of
long
course.
time, and I got really emotional, and I still get emotional about it now. But with George Floyd, it was it was really, it was really upsetting because like 2 weeks before, there was a guy that got shot. I don't remember, Arbery something.
Yes, I heard.
He
Yeah,
he
yeah, by police. Yeah, yeah. I've
yeah,
forgotten
not
his
by
name.
police, by some crazy and evil acting people. Um, and then there's something else that's coming up, and it's really really heartbreaking. And while everyone else was going on social media and talking about it, I felt like I should bottle up my anger and bottle up that energy and do something about it. So I started making calls. Some people who were listening, they got calls from me.
Yeah,
I started making calls, and I was just like, do you know what? While people are bringing an issue to this, um, while people are bringing an issue to this thing and this injustice, which needs to happen, um, I'm going to call up a few people. I'm going to see if they're okay, how
sure.
they're dealing with it,
Yeah,
and also what are we going to do? What are we going to do so that my children, that doesn't happen to my children?
yeah.
What are we going
Not
to do
at
so it
all.
doesn't happen to your children? You know? And I think until we start thinking about the next generation behind us, or even 10 years younger, 5 years younger, what are they going to go through 5 years from now? And until we take responsibility for that, I think people will continue to think that Black lives don't matter.
Yeah, totally. And I think, just to add to that, there has been somewhat. And I know some people have responded, people have taken to social media and people have responded to this in different ways, yeah? And understandably, because we're all different people. Although we are all connected by that trauma, individually, we're all going to express our views and opinions and feelings about that in different ways. So I totally understand. And this isn't to knock anyone that chooses to go on social media and Black Pound Day and all of that. I'm not against
No,
that
not
at
at all,
all.
not at all.
But what I think is interesting, though, that you've highlighted, is this need for self-care. Because not to go off too much on a tangent, but I was asked to take part in a recent conference around this, talking about Black Lives Matter. It was within a higher educational context. It was online. It was in an interpreting international conference where people were speaking in several different dialects, different languages. I mean, it was beautiful to hear. But the main theme was around Black Lives Matters and looking at inclusivity, looking at all of this and exploring some of the themes. And what was really interesting that came up was, and I find this fascinating, of all the people that were there of different ethnic origins and backgrounds, it was actually mostly the white folks that were talking about the trauma and the needs for self-care and looking at needs and looking at how we take care of ourselves when reliving this trauma of what's happened and the trauma that we go through daily. And I feel it's something that's been, in my opinion, very absent. I think there's a number of reasons for that, in terms of the absence of the experience for us as melanated peoples, right? I think we've become numb to it. I think we've definitely become numb to this notion. It's that kind of desensitized, you know. We're so used to seeing these images and used to seeing these things happen that we then it becomes we become desensitized to it. So I wondered if we're able to really tend to our actual needs and to actually be able to look at our needs and to kind of find healing. So that's something that's come up for me at the moment. Whereas people have, I found, have taken to social media or have reacted through economics or through the money. This is why we need to have our own black pound. This is why we need to spend in our communities. So it's quite interesting, the reactions that I've seen. And I know that might sound like a generalization, but it's just based on what I've observed via social media and what I've seen. I think
Yeah.
Keisha's just said something here. I'm just going to refer to that. We have to really and truly come together as a people because, oops, it just strolled up, because we can post and participate as much as we like, but then where's the actual change? Yeah. And then she goes on as to say, paint as many streets and give us as many shows on TV as we like, but we still face inequality and racism. Yeah. So real talk. Yeah, Keisha, 100%. I mean, these aesthetic, artificial, superficial kind of responses, these plasters on big gaping wounds ain't gonna work. If the root of society is rotten to the core, you're still gonna have those issues and it will still bubble to the surface. Totally.
Mm.
I wondered if there's anything you wanted to add to that, Alex, based on what Keisha's kind of said. And I think your big bro actually is coming in. It's all pouring in now. So correct it, Keisha. Economic empowerment and self-direction makes campaigning less relevant. Yeah, yeah, totally. I don't know if there was anything you
Yeah.
wanted to add to that, Alex, knowing that we've got like 5 minutes now.
Yeah. W-
Yeah,
w- Without sounding too militant, right? Well, if I'm militant or whatever.
yeah,
But I think that especially in America, um, going on marches is important. Here, going on marches is important to bring awareness to the issue. That's really important. But I think that what's equally as important is like Keisha said, working together. But in America and here, we're asking the people that historically oppressed us to stop.
yeah.
It doesn't really make sense to me,
Yeah. So shut up, but yeah, yeah. When you break it down like that,
And
yeah,
don't, don't get me wrong. They're lovely people. I've got friends, right? But I think that there's some people in the world who have power and money. They've passed down these ideologies to their children and their
yeah,
grandchildren. Do you know? So I recognize actually that if you go to um, if you ask a system that was set up not in a way that it doesn't benefit you to love you, Like,
Yeah.
that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it isn't.
You know,
Yeah,
that doesn't make
totally.
sense to me.
And being asked to have a seat
You
at
know,
the
so
table, yeah, where you're ultimately
yeah,
rejected. Yeah, it ain't good. I totally, 100%,
yeah.
100%.
And
Yeah,
the thing is, you've got the tools to build your own
yeah,
table. It might not be the best table to start with, but you know what? You build a
yeah,
table, and if it's wonky, you learn, and then you go and
yeah.
build another
No,
one.
totally.
And then maybe you can say, actually, uncle, cousin, this person over here, I'm building this table. What do you think?
No,
What do you
totally.
think about it? What do I need to do? Give me a
100%.
different perspective. Is it straight on that side? And then you do it together.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
called community. And I think we need to go back to, do you know what? Right. So I'm from the Caribbean and I've been to America. And one thing that I've noticed is that African Americans and African Caribbeans, they've really, our ancestors who were enslaved, really tried to hold on to the African culture.
yeah,
The way that we speak, the Caribbean people, the way that we
yeah,
speak, like some Caribbean people. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. But in the way that we speak, I think by now we should have learned how to speak the Queen's English, right? But
Oh,
it's
wow.
almost like an anti-colonial statement that I'm going to say things, and there's some words that are spoken in Jamaica, in Trinidad, in Barbados,
Yeah,
in my tiny island where I'm from, that people in Nigeria and Ghana and other African countries use, right?
yeah.
A good one is mumu, that means stupid or foolish.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that's true, but I don't know. Any Nigerians in here can tell me what's about.
To help you out.
Um,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah,
No,
but in
totally.
my country, so I was on LinkedIn the other day, right? And I saw that someone was talking about a politician or something, and they're like, this mumu man. And I was just like, mumu is that?
What's that? Yeah, yeah.
So
Wow.
I text my friend Othniel. He does marketing with Launch 7. I was like, what does mumu mean? Does it mean foolish, stupid? And he's like, yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, we say that back in my
Yeah.
island, and I didn't realize that there's a
It
full
was a
connection of, do
connection, yeah.
you know what I mean?
Okay.
But something that we really try to hold on to, and you see in Caribbean society and Caribbean communities, is community, love and respect.
Yeah,
Community,
totally.
love and respect. And I think we need to go back to having emphasis and being intentional about forming and strengthening
Yeah.
communities and having love and respect for each other.
Totally. I hear you, Alex. No, 100%. I'm conscious of time, sir. We have a very short
Let's just
time
keep
now
going now.
because the gram will kick us out. So look, very quickly, just to let people know, if you've enjoyed this conversation, if this has been great, let us know. I've seen the heart's been, there's been a lot of dialogue, a lot of conversation, stimulated a lot of debate. Obviously, for those of you that are tuning in for the first time, if you're not aware of our platform, we also have a YouTube channel, Lounge Academics. You could check our backlog of stuff as well. Equally, you can get engaged with some of our other material. So feel free to join us. We always have 5 minutes to disrupt. We always have a great guest on each week. Like we've had Alex, and he stimulated a lot of debate and discussion. But before we go, Alex, how can people find you? Website details. How can people follow you very quickly and get in touch?
Okay, yes, you can find me Alex D. Pemberton on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, really easy. There's Launch 7 as well, so at Launch 7, all words on Instagram. You can go to my website, alexanderpemberton.com. You can go to launch7.com, or just message me. Just message me.
Brilliant.
Let's have
Yeah,
a
message,
conversation. Let's
great.
talk.
And we now have 20 seconds remaining. I'm counting down. So, look, it's been great, Alex. You've been brilliant. Thank you. Keisha said she's joined late but loved the live. Great to have you, Keisha. Great to
Yes,
have you all
Keisha.
on. Big
Yes, no
bro.
problem, bro.
Respect to you. Thank you so much, Alex. It's been brilliant. Thank you. This has been another great
Thanks for having me,
edition
man.
of 5 Minutes to Disrupt on the Lounge Academics podcast. Thank you for tuning in.